Hello YouTube, I'm here by the mighty Tony Sun River, and today is the November 2nd, 2015. It's been a while since the last update, and the reason is I've been censoring myself. I made an update and I raised it. It was a Kruno on Islam. Frankly, I was really afraid of what I said. I said the truth. I said what I think. I said what is experience of my family as well. But I just, when I went to Phnom Penh to do my visa or whatever I had at that time, and I live in Phnom Penh by the biggest mosque in. I normally go to hotel, which is a $5 hotel in the lakeside by the biggest mosque in the Phnom Penh, and it's full of Muslims. So and I'm still afraid. I'm still afraid to speak my mind about it because when talking about the metaphysical evil, I'm dealing with one group of people, but when I'm talking about Islam, I'm immediately dealing with billion and plus, which are in that movie. So, first things first about Islam, because this is gonna be mentioned. Most of the Muslims are what we call normal Muslims, non-extremists. They are referring to jihad as a term which means the inner conquest, something like a conquering defilements. And they also claim that terrorists are not the real religious fighters because religious fighters don't kill innocent civilians. So this is the mainstream Islam, and the comments like this gonna be passed. And I'm very happy that the majority of Muslims is reasoning like this. However, I happen to be reading a half of the Quran, original Quran printed in Saudi Arabia, very expensive paper, very thin. One half on Arabic, another half on Croatian, and that Quran is full of violence. In a sense, it's not out of the context. Pure violence is part of the context. So parts like kill all infidels, or when they start running, catch them and chop their limbs crosswise, or choke them, or kill them other way, or don't get your hearts softened by their children and their houses, or parts like, and this is for the mainstream Muslims, parts like more than infidels, Allah despises those who are telling to those who are going to jihad, go, while they are staying by their houses and their gardens. And then you have and so on and so on and so on. So Quran itself is very violent, and by the discourse of Muhammad, I could sense that he is establishing himself as another prophet. First was Abraham, then Moses, then Jesus, then it's him. He's the final one. And then he is immediately going into fury because other people don't believe in him. So he's condemning those. He's calling them liars, and that Allah blinded their eyes and so on. So he's very furious. And then when you have those parts about killing and mutilation, you have parts when he is encouraging his people to do exactly that. This is in your face. You simply need to read the book. That's all. And then he has a third part, or one. Yes, this third part is connected with the whole conquest part. When he's dealing with inheritance, when he's dealing with the legal matters, and in one instance he says 1/5 of all loot goes to the prophet and his descendants. So, so in this sense, he's like really establishing rule of law, and there are many good elements in the Quran. Like he says, when you are doing an agreement, don't be lazy. Take a seat and write it down on a piece of paper. And I like these parts which are, good knowledge for the common life. No, I do not have a doubt that he was a common man. He was not a common man. He was really something very sinister and very sophisticated in the business he was doing, and he was of course not alone, because this is official Luciferian religion. And why Luciferian? Well, the first, when I was passing by that mosque, I would feel him, and I remember in one instance I was just passing. It was not always this strong feeling, but once it was like such a strong feeling, like he touched me, and I looked at the mosque, and then immediately after that, Allahu Akbar, and then the ceremonies, the services started. So, or at one instance, from the gate, somebody played, I think from a mobile phone, very loudly, Beyond's Halo, when I was passing by. And this is the trigger song for me, because then I can really sense him, because this song is very devoted, Luciferian devoted song. So, another thing why it's Luciferian, well, because Lucifer is, the demons are the only ones who are looking for the sacrifice, who are encouraging people to sacrifice. And on the YouTube you can virtually see one footage when jihadis in Syria are executing soldiers. The jihadi goes, "Oh Allah, take this offer, take this sacrifice on your altar," and then they start shooting them. And this is pure sacrifice. So when you have invoking a God or praising a God, like Allah is the greatest, Allahu Akbar, and then after that doing a sacrifice or killing somebody, this is pure sacrifice. So the true God, which is the source of life and the energy, doesn't need sacrifice to be fed. What needs sacrifice is, for your understanding, is the devil, is the evil. Evil feeds on the human and animal sacrifice and of worship. Evil needs to be worshipped. It needs your submission. So these are the pure elements of the demonic worship. But how it is working on the human soul, on the human mind is, you see, we are all looking for the connection with the God. And when you, in your heart, when you focus yourself and submitting yourself to that, you feel the connection with it. However, question is, what is the package? What is the book which is explaining you your place in the universe and what your behavior should be and what life should be? You see, this is called the religion, and this is coming in between basically ego, soul, and the God. Because first person needs to find the contact with its soul, and then through that the contact with the God. While religion is here used as, of course, tool of control, which in its in its good elements, Muslims are perfectly normal. They are very nice, very friendly, and so on, as long as they are not going deep into the religion. Once they're getting deep, of course, no Muslim can like non-Muslim, because it's clear in Quran that all non-Muslims will go to hell. Therefore, why would you have a contact with somebody who's going to hell? He is, of course, the agent of devil, and so on, the kafir, the non-Muslims, and so on. So, once this is out of the game, people are perfectly normal, perfectly nice, and I had many good experiences with Muslims. However, as I say, my family, my mother is from Bosnia, and my mother during the war, my grandmother during the war, she saw members of that brigade, El Mujahid, which been killing, of course, civilians. She saw them with the human heads, beheaded human heads from one Croatian village about it, city, town, Vojnica, 5,000 villagers, 5,000 people back then, still saying so. You know, we have different definitions of a city and a town and a village. So for my grammar, that's basically a town, but for yours, it's a city because it's not a village. And what is a village, which is basically a settlement. So yeah, it is emotional because our first neighbor, she was bayoneted in her bed and so on. So it can be also very brutal, and it can explode and so on. Religion is a very powerful motivation because it defines a person's relationship with the God, with eternity, and when that eternity, that omnipotent, overpowerful thing is telling you that you should behead other person in order to enter the heaven, this is a very powerful message. So, in the essence, Islam is one of the manipulations. He is not the only one. Manipulation is coming in many forms. And quite lately, of course, we are now seeing the unfolding game of creating a civil war in Europe, practically. All those poor people who've been used, who are suffering, are simply one way or another way, either suffering from war, or majority of them from economic situation and trying to reach stability in Europe. And just another cannon fodder in another war. That's what's going to be, because people are not waking up, and if they're not waking up, they're gonna play the game, and the game is they kill us and our prana goes to them. That's how it goes. And Islam is in that very effective, as we can see in Syria and in Iraq past 5 years. So that was a Kruno on the Islam. If sound is okay, I'm gonna upload it. I would hate to die without this being said, because people watching my updates might think that I was maybe sympathetic towards Islam, because today's Illuminati propaganda on the YouTube, Illuminati conspirologist kind of propaganda is portraying Islam as to be the enemy of the Illuminati, you know. And this is the, as I was speaking about, the typical Illuminati propaganda, when Catholics are seeing Masons as a problem, Protestants are seeing Pope as a problem and the center of the Jesuit Illuminati, and of course Muslims are seeing whites as the Illuminati. But Illuminati are everywhere. It could be clearly seen when you see with open eyes, illuminated eyes in that sense, who is leading different groups in the Middle East. You always see the bright faces somewhere checking out. This is the game. In the reality, you have the tentacles of the system, the Illuminati, and their dogs, and their psychopaths. They are the dogs who are on the terrain and who are running the show. Psychopaths are not aware of the thing, but the Illuminati are. Not completely. For that you have to check out the Fritz Springmeier to see how it works with them, but they are there and they are checking out the situation through them. The intelligence, which is really sinister and really strong, is checking out the situation on the farm and moving the cattle when it needs to do the calling. We are all the same cattle for that evil. There are no Muslims or non-Muslims for that evil. For that evil, we are all sheep. All of us. And it's moving us through that. So now, once when you start seeing with your sixth sense, when you start seeing that world, then you will get it. Until then, I'm just going to be one of these many people who are talking on the YouTube. Okay. If you're really looking for the God, this is cliche, but you can really find it in your heart. But for that, you need to open your heart, and it's easy to open your heart when you're really connecting with that source, that good source, because when you are in the presence of that good source, then your heart automatically opens. And this is my God for me. It's in my heart. Okay, this is how I know what is good and what is wrong. Yeah. So, what do you think? What is the harder way, huh? And I can tell it. I'll say it. I'll admit it. For me, to open my heart was one of the hardest things for me in my life, really, because it's so easy to close it and it's so difficult to open it. This is now the end. Thank you for watching.